In Service to Love, the relationship podcast that helps you create more love in the practical day-to-day, centering connection in the life of the modern family with your host, therapist, mother, and artist, Randé Dorn. Welcome. This is the In Service to Love podcast, and I am your host, Randé Dorn. I hope everyone is well today. What does it matter? I'm recording on a Monday. And I'm always, as always, I'm excited. Today is the holiday episode. What does that mean? It's focusing on what do we do when we need to go see our family for the holidays. Hopefully, I have some good advice, some words of wisdom to share with you to help get you through the next couple months as we're approaching Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, all the things that are that would bring family together in celebration. I might lean towards more Thanksgiving and Christmas a little bit because those are the things I celebrate in this advice, but I think some of it is universal. So there's 5 points that I want to share. Number 1, the first one is don't talk politics. Don't talk politics at the dinner table. Don't talk politics at Thanksgiving. Don't talk politics on Christmas. Okay, so why am I saying that? Because there's a in some ways I'm going to say a selfishness and entitlement around this idea that I got on a plane with some old store bought pie and therefore I can go ruin this dinner that I didn't prepare, that I didn't pay for, that I wasn't slaving over, right? The holidays are stressful enough. You don't need to go in there guns blazing, trying to change someone's opinion about their beliefs. Not on that day. Here's what I want you to think about. If they don't already know your politics by Thanksgiving dinner, that's on you. Why did you wait? This is not about not sharing or not trying to perhaps influence or persuade someone around their beliefs. I'm just saying those are inappropriate times. Have that conversation 3 days before. Go visit on a separate time. Have a phone call. Again, if they don't know your politics, your beliefs by now, then that's on you. Like this idea of like showing up on this day when, so let's go think about Thanksgiving. I know there's a history around that, and to me, it's not important in the sense that how it's being celebrated currently is from a place of gratitude. You're going there to be with family and to think about family from a place of gratitude. Similarly, Christmas is a celebration, ultimately, deeply, the celebration of Jesus Christ. And it is the celebration, to me, of the birth of forgiveness and grace. That is literally what this dude stands for, his life and his death. So use Christmas dinner, as an opportunity to exercise forgiveness and grace. And on another day, have these still very important conversations. I'm not saying these conversations aren't important. But what I'm saying is, I remember a few years ago, quite a few years ago, right? Like when the whole Trump thing was happening in the United States and, everyone was so outraged and they're like, go home and talk to your uncle or handle your people. First of all, it's like, oh, okay. I get why you're upset. And secondly, I'm going to tell you, sad white family Christmases is not what we need. It's not what we need. That's not going to stop oppression. There's a bunch of, white families having sad Christmases, having sad Thanksgivings. No, that is not how that works. You know how it works? Understanding. You know how it works? Connection. connecting so deeply, caring so deeply for the people that are in your family that you love, that you want the best for them. And then when we think about what the best for them might look like, it might mean more social support. It might mean more, again, grace and forgiveness. It might mean more tangible examples of care in our government. So, ruining a dinner when you may only show up once or twice a year isn't going to move the marker. You're better off trying to exercise love in those situations. I promise you, you will move the marker in a much deeper way, and in a way that actually has longevity. So, don't do politics during dinner on these very special holiday occasions. Do them days before, do them days after, do them on an extra trip that you're paying for, you're taking care of, right? No more sad dinners for anybody. Again, life is too short for that. So number 2, manage your feelings, because yeah, there's going to be, there probably will be, crazy drunk uncles, such and such, who may still be wanting to talk about politics. This information is for those who are listening to me, right? So we have to manage our feelings. And part of how we manage our feelings when we're spending so much time with family, because usually when we save up to do a trip like this, we're going to be there for a few days, even sometimes a few weeks. First off, self-care. One of the things that I often tell my clients, especially during that time, is that you no longer have to live with your family when you're going to see them. I know sometimes there's traditions around that. It is okay for you to get a hotel room. It is okay for you to get an Airbnb. It's okay for you to go stay with some friends a couple of days. Create enough distance where you can manage your feelings so that you can show up as your best self for that trip and for your family and for yourself. Self-care might be making sure that you plan a couple of days where you take a walk and you go get some coffee by yourself, have some hot chocolate, go look at the lights. Self-care may be having a couple of plans with friends in town so that you can take a little bit of a break. Part of managing our feelings, and sometimes part of the conversation around politics, is that we want to be seen as adults. We want to be seen as peers. And so we want to come in with our opinions or ideas, and we want to show where there's conflict, where we're separate. See, I exist separate from you. And one of the ways you can do that is just get a separate place. Like, and even as I say that, I know for some families that's a hard conversation. Okay, so you're willing to have a hard conversation around politics, but you're not willing to have a hard conversation about where you stay when you go visit your family? That's confusing. If you can't advocate for yourself, how are you supposed to be advocating for the world? Let's start with you. Let's start with these relationships. Advocating for enough space for you to show up as your best self for you and for your family. And then, part of that is what I consider intentions, remembering why you're there. Are you really there to go kick up some dust? Are you really there to convince that weird uncle that he's wrong about something? Or are you really there to see your family? Are you there to feel loved and connected? Are you there to perhaps repair some things that were a little bit frayed over the year? Remember what your intention is. Your intention, most of the time, is to feel loved, cared for by the people that you love and care for, to feel joy, to feel more connection. Remember why you're there. And so then when you're having these types of conversations around taking a break, where am I staying? What are we doing while I'm here? That you're coming from that place of my intention is to connect. So then from that place of intention, I know where is it that I want to compromise? Where do I need to kind of stand my ground, stand in my value? Where do I need to advocate for myself? Understand, know what your intentions are. And part of that identity thing is, okay, I want to be, most of the time, I want to be treated like an adult. I've spent a whole year away from you, sometimes a couple of years away from you, even a couple of months. We all keep growing and changing, including your parents. And I want to be seen in this new version of me. Right? And sometimes we stomp our feet and we're like, yeah, see me as this thing. And if we're stomping our feet, see me as this thing, I'm going to tell you part of that is because we're not that deeply rooted in that identity yet. It's still developing. Because when we're really grounded, rooted in something, everybody recognizes it, including your parents. And so having these maybe harder conversations before the fact, this is where I'm staying, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm spending my time. And I want to spend a lot of my time with you. That's why I'm there, right? My intention. And how I handle those things, that's partly how we are going to introduce this new identity of who we are. How we manage our emotions and how we manage our relationships. That's how we convince other people of our growth. Not just, tantruming and demanding and stomping our feet. See me this way. I'm like, well, act that way, and then I'll see you that way. There's 5 of these. Number 3. I'm laughing. I'm not being mean. I'm really I'm really trying to make your holiday time easier, right? I think we put so much pressure on the holidays to be something more than they can be. They're so charged already. And I'm trying to take a little bit of the charge off. I'm trying to take a little bit of the pressure off of this idea of having to do or create or make something that just it's not possible during those times. People aren't even paying attention, right? Because they're paying attention to the turkey or the things in the oven or they're paying attention to such and such that they don't get drunk, or they're paying attention to the making sure that everything is cleaned or everything's perfect. They're not paying attention to some of these conversations. That's why they have to happen before or way after, when everyone is resourced again, and then they can hear you and they can see you. Think of that as the time that we just express our gratitude for what is, whatever that is. And that, during the Christmas holiday season, I'm expressing the forgiveness and grace that this was supposed to be about. Number 3, with that in mind, recognize who your people are. Stop hoping, expecting, or pretending they're going to be something else. This year it's going to be different. No, it's not. Like, it's the same almost every year. That's why you're already stressed and anxious about it. It's not going to be that different. Again, because you're kind of think of this as a group kind of mob, society thing, and the mob wins. So recognize your people. They've been showing you themselves year after year, day after day since you met them. Why do you keep expecting for them to be magically more understanding in this moment, or magically, more liberal in this moment, or even more conservative in this moment? Whatever it is, recognize them so that you can accept them. That is what part of what love is, right? It's just accepting, being present is too. Accepting what is. These are my people. This is what they're like. Okay. And I can, if I manage my feelings, then I can get through this day, I can get through this week, I can get through these 2. It's when my expectations don't match either the ability of those around me or my abilities, when I'm kind of like just putting so much pressure for something different to happen. So recognize your people. Number 4, ask questions, stay curious. Part of how, we may sometimes stay away from some of these weird, more uncomfortable things is that when they come up is just to stay curious. So what do I mean by that? Here's your family. Ask them, like, who were they when they were younger? What's their favorite memory of themselves, of their childhood? What were they like when they were teenagers? What was it like for them to fall in love? What was their favorite toy that they received? You can I mean, there's so much that we in some ways don't know about our families because we've known them for so long, we assume that we know everything. And again, especially about our parents, there's so much that oftentimes we don't know. And I think about that, I was very close to my mom, and she was very much inhabited that mom role. And I realized there's a lot of things I didn't know. A few years ago, I interviewed my aunt about her because I was trying to I was trying to understand my own, actually maybe it was this year, maybe last year, my own journey around perimenopause, and I was like, oh, I don't have my mom around to talk to me about what this was like. I knew my mom had a hysterectomy early on. I think maybe in her 40s. I must have been devastating. And we never really talked about it. I never even understood why that happened. And so, as I get older, as you know, I just approach older ages, I guess. I wish I had my mom around, and I realized I had a lot of questions. I now have a lot of questions. And so if you still have your parents, if you still have your loved ones, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, ask them. And if politics come up, manage your feelings and stay curious. Why are you feeling the way that you're feeling? Why are you advocating for these particular people? Maybe there's something that makes sense to them. It may never make sense to you, but maybe even understanding what makes sense to them may breed a certain level of compassion and, again, connection. Maybe they just want a sense of safety and they think that they can get it from there. I'm sure we all want a sense of safety. That's connection. Maybe they're with that particular person because they've never felt loved like that before. Even though you don't like them, you can understand what it might feel like to feel cared for and loved. So instead of going into our fantasies about how horrible this experience is or how tortured I'm going to be, what if I let myself be a little bit more open to the possibility that if I knew them better, or that I could know them better, could be something else about them that I could understand that may open my heart more. What if I went looking for that? Ask questions, stay curious. Number 5, expect grief. And I add that because with every year, we're a year older. With every year, there may be someone who isn't there. Not because they died, maybe they just couldn't make it. And at some point, yeah, we start to lose people. Expect grief because, as much as I'm saying, know and recognize your people, part of that is recognizing there's something I may not ever get from them. And you get to grieve about that. You get to still feel sad that maybe your family or your parents or your siblings aren't showing up in the way that you want them to show up, that you wish that would feel better to you. You get to grieve the losses that are going to come up year after year. And I'm going to tell you, even in the most joyful families, even in the most joyful holiday celebrations, that's one less year. I get that. With every year, I celebrate a year and I lose a year. And so when I'm in the height of my joy around all this love, I can also recognize, wow, let me stay present because this won't last. It can't. And that's why we have to stay present because we know none of this can last. And so allowing yourself to hold both, to just invite the fact that I don't have to resist the grief or the sadness that's coming up. I think partly sometimes, again, while we're stomping and we're fighting about things, is because there is a a desire to have something that I know I can't have. Stomping because I want you to see me in a certain way, or I'm stomping because I want you to witness me or love me in a certain way. And I'm protesting, right? They call it protest behavior. Protesting, I'm resisting it. And I'm saying stop resisting and just accept that that's what it is. Now, in acceptance leads to a yes, and I accept that I don't get this from my parents. So what can I get? Because I can get stuck in just resisting all the time. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay, but then if we say, okay, I accept, I don't get it, then I can move to that place of what can I get? Or then I can move to a place of then what can I ask for that may feel closer, more in proximity to what I want. But if I just stay holding, resistance is stuck, it's stuckness. Acceptance is movement. Acceptance is flow, even if I'm accepting something I don't want. Acceptance allows for the next question. I accept it, now what? When I'm in resistance, I'm just holding the dam back. That's all I can do. If I stop holding the dam back, and then all the water flows over me, and I'm rolling and tumbling with the water, at least I can say, okay, I'm rolling and tumbling. Now what? I guess I can ask now what when I'm holding the dam, but now what is just to keep holding the dam? There isn't an option if I decide I'm just gonna hold the dam back. So I accept what is, I accept my people as they are. And I accept that I'm gonna go see them. Again, why go see them? Because that's also an option. Why go see them if you're just gonna be disruptive? If you're just gonna cause chaos because you're not getting what you want. And one of the things I might want is for you to believe what I believe. No. Go have your own party then. Go create your own friend Thanksgiving thing. Great. Go do that. And then talk to your family the next day, the day after. This is not about, cutting yourself off necessarily. To me, this is about boundaries around appropriateness. And there's these movements around. Let's be audacious and let's be bold and let's be. And you can read some of the things I say that I do that all the time. I am audacious and bold in my life. I'm also appropriate, right? And when I say appropriate, I think what I'm meaning is that I am in consideration for the other people around me. I'm in consideration for all the other people that I love or want to be closer to. And when I go stomping around and trying to make I'm sucking all the air out of the room. I'm sucking all the energy towards me. I'm saying, look at me, do me, be about me. And that's not connection. I've said this before. That's just another version of ego. It's another version of selfishness that's destructive. And I'm here for selfishness when it's about self-care, when it's about uh, integrity, when it's about connection. And if they don't know who you are the other 364 or 363 days out of the year, take responsibility for that. Don't just try to save it all up and then do it over Thanksgiving toast. Come on now. Come on, people. You know better. And if you don't, I'm telling you, you can do better. This is not going to get you what you want. This list will. Don't talk politics over dinner. Manage your feelings. Manage your expectations of what is possible during those days. Recognize who your people are. Ask questions and stay curious. Expect grief. You know what this list is also good for? Weddings. The same list is good for a wedding. Just put this in your back pocket. because family stuff comes up at weddings, especially on the way to the altar. Family stuff comes up. Side note, I digress. It comes up because when people get married, also when people have children, but especially when people get married, we are blending families. And now we are overlapping roles. And now I don't know where I stand. I used to be your best friend, or I used to be your favorite parent, and now you've got a new favorite person, and now I don't know where I go. And I've been duplicated. Now there's two mothers in this family. What do I do where I go? I used to be your only sibling, and now, you've inherited a couple of in-laws. I don't know what to do with this. So, this list perfect for marriages. It's for the wedding day. You're welcome. All right, this is short. That is it. This list of 5. I hope it helps you get through the holiday season. I know I skipped talking about, bringing in partners or new partners or dating. That'll be for another. Maybe I'll do that another time. But I think this will be helpful. This will be a nice little crisp list of things for you to do. So reach out. Tell me what you think. Ask your questions. You can email me. What else can you do? Yeah, you can email me. You can comment on this podcast. I will tell you, I am available, but only for a short time. As a therapist, I say that meaning I only have I think 4 or 5 slots left, and I'm creating a program, a 1-to-1 program. It's 3 months. It's called the Embodied Yes. So if you are interested, reach out. But after that, it can either my 5 slots can be filled by that, or it can be filled by a client. Either way, I'm going to be moving into more online classes. So again, I can continue to serve, and I'll let you all know when that happens. And until then, I'll just be doing this. I'll be serving up whatever comes to mind in a way that I think will serve you and will help you to ease you through these days with so much grace and so much love. So wishing you well. Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. As always, please share, comment, and like so we can grow our community and bring more love to those you love. Great reviews mean a great deal to our work, so take a few minutes and write us a love letter today. Our hearts appreciate every word. Tune in next week for another episode.